Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video by yours truly. In this video, I'm going to try and be as honest and transparent as possible about Silverwolf. At one point in time, I thought she was a triple S tier unit that couldn't be dethroned by anybody. And as we've acquired more units, as we've figured out more things about this game, in today's Honkai Star Rail, I can safely tell you she is no longer a S+ tier unit when it comes to speed runs, the best options available. And I'm gonna go into everything. Now, she doesn't suck, not by a long shot. Still a banger unit. If you have her on your account, she's still amazing. But I ultimately want to define Silverwolf as a band-aid character. Yep. I know that sounds like degrading, doesn't it? But it's not really degrading. It depends on who you are, the account you have, and what you're trying to do. It always has to be a nuanced discussion. Let's start off with the beginning of the game when Silverwolf was cracked. We didn't have many units built up, right? The nature and dynamic of the gacha element of this game just didn't enable you to have full-blown investment into your DPSs. It didn't enable you to have all support characters fully invested in. So when Silverwolf came out and we immediately knew that she could be that band-aid unit that could fill that supportive slot we just didn't have on a team, it allowed you to get through the memory of chaos with teams you shouldn't be able to get through the memory of chaos with, because she can just enable that weakness to be on their head, as well as her defensive shredding capabilities. And then the break effect Silverwolf is just such a banger like cheat for the game. It delays the hell out of the enemy, which is a defensive and offensive perk simultaneously, right? You delay them, prevent them from going, do damage to them in the process. Then when they finally come up, big explosion on their head. And that was just like the coolest, we hadn't seen nothing like that apart from the other characters, and it was dope. But today you got so many people 0 cycling and 1 cycling, and just every unit is invested in. Every unit has every piece they need to have on to do what they need to do. The DPS are so goddamn strong that it doesn't matter if you're going up against an elemental scenario that's not advantageous to your DPS. They're just so strong, they still just pummel them and run them over. I can go into the first MOC 10 floor and just bulldoze them with my Jingyuan because he's that damn strong when he's fully invested. Same thing is going to apply to the other DPSs of today's meta. But back then, it wasn't like that. It was you felt compelled to have Silverwolf because you thought if you didn't put the right element up against the right elemental scenario, you weren't going to be able to clear. That is not the case today. It doesn't matter if they're weak against your element or not. If your DPS and supports are well built, you're still going to bulldoze. Furthermore, Silverwolf's kit, the whole delay them and explosion dot concept, is slow by nature. It's designed to delay them, and sometimes it delays the enemies into the next cycle, which again, this is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm okay with them getting delayed into a next cycle and then explosion dot happens, boom. The fact of the matter is though, is it's not a necessity. It is again a band-aid concept designed to be utilized when you don't have the missing pieces to the puzzle of that composition. That is honestly what Silverwolf is today. And I can tell you, speaking completely honest from the heart, I don't use Silverwolf today. I only do when I just feel like using her, when I want to use her. But if I'm going up against a scenario like the monkey on the first half, it's not Silverwolf that I'm choosing. It's Asta, it's Pella, it's Ting Yun, it's Bronya. I'm not using Silverwolf because I am on a level now where I'm able to get 0 cycles and 1 cycles and shit, where it's like, if I use Silverwolf, the biggest issue comes up where she's only single target oriented. We're doing a lot of AoE formats today, and she can't get her ult up on the first turn. Pella can, Ting Yun can, Bronya doesn't need to because Bronya's Bronya. And Asta is enabling me to go multiple times. My whole team can go multiple times with an attack percent boot. These are like universal values that are just too broken to not like pay attention to. And you can't do those with a Silverwolf who delays the monster but doesn't speed up your team, doesn't start off with her ult up on the first swing because she has energy recharge problems unless you unlock her E1. And she cannot boost the whole entire, she can't defensive shred the entire field. Pella can. So it's things like this that I started taking note of, and I was like, damn, as my account is getting more well invested into, I'm starting to see the issues with Silverwolf that from a meta level. Again, we always got to go back to this. From a meta level, her efficiency is just not there because of the single targeted delayed effect concept. But I do want to go over pros, cons, and potential indirect buffs. I do want to go over these. First thing, universal support. As I said, if you don't have a missing piece to the puzzle of your comp, Silverwolf is going to replace that piece easily, effortlessly. You'll be able to clear the abyss comfortably with her too. Break effect Silverwolf explosion plus delay is cracked and fun. I can't say it's cracked because cracked would imply it's broken, but it is fun and very, very, very strong. You're not going to get a 0 cycle with it, but they can't go, and she explodes them and kills them, and then you go 2-3 cycle clear, and it's just lit. Manipulate compositions that only work because of her. We talked about this earlier. You can manipulate a composition into making it work because she's going to put that weakness onto the enemy's head. Broken in Swarm Disaster. I cannot take this away from her. Silverwolf is meta in the Swarm Disaster. There's too many buffs that just make her kit just cracked for Swarm. The buffs in Swarm, if they were to indirect buff her with characters that do that, she would be, again, the most grotesque unit in the game. But I guess a case in point, if she breaks somebody's shield, she gets to go again, right? This enables her to have better energy recharge management. Or if she breaks somebody's shield, it applies to the adjacent enemies as well, or the whole freaking lineup. Shit like that is what makes Silverwolf's kit cracked. You don't have that though outside of Swarm Disaster. Moving on to the next one, easy and comfortable memory of chaos clearing. This is true. Most effective tactic available, aka the meta, doesn't necessarily correlate to getting the fastest speed run. It can also correlate to getting the easiest and most comfortable speed run. What I mean is, okay, I cleared it in 3 cycles, you cleared it in 0, but you was over there sweating your fucking balls off, whereas me, I took no damage and I had all the fun in the world, and it took me 1 try only. I would make an argument that that's every bit as effective as a 0 cycle run where you're sitting there sweating bullets. So that's one thing that Silverwolf can do. Amazing unit to progress through the game with, 100%. If you are a newer player and you don't have many units, first of all, let's just start there. As I told you, as a newer player, Silverwolf, nobody's better than Silverwolf. I'm telling you, nobody in the game is better than Silverwolf as a new player. She's just that damn valuable. She's that piece you keep relying on in every single scenario. So yeah, that's absolutely true. Toughness break is cracked, yes. So she deals 90 toughness with her ult, 60 toughness with her skill. That's 150 total. That shit is so cracked, and then toughness break is just such a strong variable in this game's combat system and mechanics that if you have somebody that's getting their shields down, it's a defensive and offensive, again, perk that's happening simultaneously. So, and we'll go into some potential indirect buffs pertaining to that later on. Insanely budget friendly. Silverwolf was probably the most budget friendly character and is still the most budget friendly character in this entire game. You don't need to touch anything in that expensive upper portion of her trace tree. You don't even need to build her past like level 6 traces because her kit is so freaking friendly. You can just go take everything to level 6 and you can just put the thief shooting set on her, which I'm gonna have to make a separate video explaining why thief set is better on Silverwolf than the quantum set. I still believe that to this day, and I can prove that shit to you factually, but we'll come back to that another time. She's so easy to build. She's budget friendly, not only from trace, but also from building her as well. And again, we'll get into the like details as to why I say that, but we'll come back to that. She's budget friendly, just know that. Skill point flexibility. So I say skill point flexibility because sometimes she could be negative because her single target kit, you might have to use her skill multiple times to put it on 2 different people, and now she's in the negative. Or you can use her skill 1 time and just keep auto attacking with her for the next 3 turns, and now she's positive, right? So she has flexibility. It can be positive or negative depending on the scenario. Finally, defensive shredding is strong. All type resistance is amazing. Yeah, so she has the strongest defensive shredding in the game on single target, and then she gives an all type multiplicative damage bonus in addition to that. So that's huge for her as well. But now let's get into the cons. Mid support for speedrunning. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to say you can't zero cycle with Silverwolf. You can, but most people that do zero cycle with her probably have her at E1 because her E1 enables you to spam her ult much more. I mean, way better. She gets literally an extra like 40 freaking energy with an E-charge rope if you have her E1 unlocked. As soon as you use her ult, already halfway up again. That's cracked. But if you don't have that and she's E0, there's just better options. You're going to get a better speed run consistency and better speed run like outcome with Tingyun, Branya, Pella, Asta. Just outright. That's just the truth. Energy recharge problems unless E1 is unlocked. I just mentioned that. Single targeting is a hindrance for AoE formats. 100%. You run into skill point managing with her when it's an AoE format because you're sitting there trying to use her skill on like two elites. There's always usually a 2 elite scenario, and you have to put the skill like all type resistance bonus on both of them, which is a bit of a pain in the ass with her. And again, defensive shred, only one target. Pella, defensive shred, the entire field. It's an L. Pella is a better unit for speed running. Yep, and she's a 4-star character. That's just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But Pella's a 5-star character as a 4-star character. There's just no getting around that. And she can be skill point negative due to single targeting. I mentioned that. And then defensive shred and all type resist is single target oriented. Those are the biggest negatives, which they all kind of tie into each other. But now I want to talk about the potential indirect buffs. This is going to give you insight as to whether you should pick her up for future proof. The first one, if a character comes along that enables amplified quantum break damage, that will shoot her into the stratosphere, because then you'll delay their turn, you'll put 5 stacks on their head, and then this other character will pretty much act as a Kafka for Silverwolf, right? Her dot on the head can deal over 100k damage with proper investment. So 100k dot getting triggered again for another 100k, some character coming along that could do that, which I don't know. This is not a leak. I truly don't know this. But if that did happen, she would shoot through the stratosphere in value, 100%. Character enables stronger toughness damage. Well, if you know, then you know. If a character comes along that makes it easier for her to break shields, again, that is a very noticeable buff for Silverwolf. If you know, you know. I'm just going to say that. Character enables break effect to spread to adjacent units. This is already in the Swarm Disaster as a buff on the head, but if somebody came along that pretty much allowed you to break one character's shield, but then spread it across the enemies, Silverwolf shooting through the stratosphere again. So there are ways to make her much stronger, but these ways, minus just one of the little bulletins I just pointed out, these are ways that would make her very strong, but 2 of them is a gamble. We don't know if that's ever going to happen or ever going to come. One of them, again, if you know, you know. So that is my honest analysis of Silverwolf in today's meta. And to like conclude it and give you a whole overview of what I just said, she's a very good band-aid option for people who don't have their accounts well invested into. She's also somebody who's a meta unit in terms of just clearing the MOC effortlessly. Don't have to stress too much about it. She's going to make your job and life a lot easier in the MOC, but she's not she's not speed running savvy, if that's the best way to put it. Also, there are some potentials that can make her broken again, but you have to rely on a number of them, and then you need her E1 if you're gonna really like bring out her performance. She definitely is one of the characters in the game that has an increase in performance once you unlock her E1, because of energy recharge issues are no longer like a problem anymore. Those are my honest thoughts, guys. Hopefully we brought you some good insight, some good discussion, and it'll help you with deciding on whether you want to pull on her banner or not. At the end of the day, that's what we're here to do. Keep it 100. Thanks for watching. Peace, love, and happiness. I'll catch you on the flip side.